former Delhi Police Commissioner, former Lieutenant Governor of Puducherry, Kiran Bedi. Thank you very much, ma'am, for speaking with us here on CNN News 18. Your first reaction, the brutality of this crime, the fact that not only was this a hit-and-run case, was this a case where a car with 5 drunk boys hit a woman, but the fact that they didn't realize that her body was stuck in that car for 10 to 12 kilometers, I mean, I can't think of anything more brutal.
Zakka, before investigations are complete, we do not know whether they knew that the body was getting dragged along. I can't say that. I can't conclude that, whether they knew or they did not know, and that it was getting dragged. So I have no idea about this, because that only investigation will know. Did they ever get to be signaled that they are dragging along a body, and why don't they stop? I think that only investigation will tell us, Zakka.
What I'm curious about, ma'am, is, 10 years ago when Nirbhaya happened, we saw similar scenes. People were outraged. There were candlelight vigils and all kinds of promises were made. Street lights will be improved, policing will be improved. 10 years on, something similar has happened, and it seems almost like nothing has changed.
Zakka, a lot has changed. There's no doubt about it. I don't think we need to go into that kind of despair. A lot has changed. A lot of infrastructure improvements have been made. Legal processes have been put in place. More training a lot of money has also got pumped into better policing and technology. But I think what went wrong, if you ask me, is a dismantling of established predictive system of police response, which was coming through the police control room vans, which were dotted. They were like mobile vehicles on a police post. It's a mobile police post, which was the first responder. And I think that was a very well time-tested practice, which was in place and in numbers. And they were always on test calls. Senior officers from police control room vans were giving test calls to check the positioning and response of the PCR van. And not only that, because of traffic jams, the improvements were that now they were also linked with motorcycles, also as called the motorcycle first responder, because of they could weave through and reach the spot. I think we need to find out under what circumstances did the police headquarters at some stage dismantle the PCR van, and instead of these vans being in mobile police stations around the town, around the city, they were handed over, I believe, to the best of my knowledge, to the police stations to respond. Now, police station responding, and supposing they have sent the vehicle for something else. So why parked in a police station? Why not have it? Should have been somewhere else where it was in the sensitive areas, were decided, dark areas were decided. So I think what went to my mind wrong is having dismantled a very well-established police response system through these mobile police vans, which were like a mobile police station, police post, along with these motorcycles who could respond. I think what has happened here has been the failure of earliest response.
No,
and for miles
that's
together,
precisely what has happened. If you look at the sequence of events, ma'am, there are multiple eyewitnesses who say that the first call was made around 3:30 in the morning, immediately after this accident happened. The response from the police in the PCR van eventually came at past 4:15. So for that 45 minutes, there was no response from the police.
So you got to work backwards. There was a vehicle. Work backwards. There was a vehicle. There was the same PCR van vehicle. Had it been around in that area, positioned the way we used, the system existed. And it was a long established system set up by various police commissioners. All contributed to strengthening. In fact, Mr. Ved Marwa was probably the first one to provide gypsy vans, Maruti gypsy vans as police control room vans. Brand new vans were given to police control room vans as mobile police posts by nobody other than goes back to 1986, 87, earlier years. It's a very well established program, and then it kept getting strengthened. More vans kept getting added, and there were lots of vans and a lot of manpower and even women PCR vans were added.
Yeah.
So I think what went wrong, I think, is why did we dismantle the system? What was the urgency? What was the wisdom behind it? And we need to reinstate that first responder, both of the PCR van and the motorcycles.
I want to come back to another issue again. Even when Nirbhaya happened, all these promises were made about street lights and CCTV cameras and better policing and beat constables doing the rounds in the middle of the night, so on and so forth. Today, forget about where this area where the crime happened. You go to some of the poshest parts of Delhi also, it's dimly lit or not lit at all.
That's another area, Zakka. There's a lack of coordination between the civic services and the law enforcement. Wherever their street lights are dim or they're badly lit, they need to be brought to the control room and they have to be revived and repaired well in time, because well-lit roads prevent a lot of crimes, whether it's traffic hazards or it's crimes against women or otherwise. I think that's another area we need to put in a system where wherever the beat officer or the public also informs the police, the electricity, or the municipal control room that these lights have to be revived. So there has to be more of interaction between the community, the civil, even the civil security. Look, the kind of plethora of civil security we have on the roads. Why should they not inform the control room to see कि हमारे यहाँ light खराब है? Light karo. So I think we need to have civic services also responding, but community also charging them and asking them. Police also does it. So it is not anybody whose job. It is everybody's responsibility to improve and contribute to improving security of their streets.
And one final word, ma'am. Again, politically at least, the whole charge between Aam Aadmi Party state government and the lieutenant governor and so on has been that, look, Delhi police is under the central government. It's a different dispensation altogether. Delhi requires its policing and its police forces to be under an elected government. Do you see merit in that argument, or is that just political, taking away focus from what actually happened, the crime that actually happened?
I'm, Zakka, looking at citizens' responsibility. Why should every citizen not take responsibility? I think other positions come much after. They are only one on the street. But citizen is everywhere. The occupant of the resident is everywhere. Civil private security is everywhere. Why isn't the private security not also integrated with the local police? Why not integrate them? And they also train them to respond and complain immediately. This is part of their security responsibility. Isko job nahi hai usi dukaan par ek chaukidari karna. What's happening on the street, he should be part and parcel of the security system.
All right. One final word. So do you see any... There seems to be this sense that in Delhi, and we've seen repeated crimes, not just in the last 10 years, crimes against women. I even lost a dear friend, Soumya, who used to work with me in a previous company. She was shot in the middle of the night returning from work. And this, reminded me of that case. What needs to be done in Delhi to instill... It's almost like, residents don't have a fear of the law.
Zakka, we need to bring back fear of law, respect for law. You need a whole package of fear for law, respect for law. Because if you don't respect the law, you will be not afraid of the law. So I think we need to have whole preventive systems where everybody plays a role. Citizens play a role, RWs play a role, parents play a role, teachers. Community must rise to the occasion to bring back the rule of law, respect for law and fear of law. But there were other preventive policing measures which were well practiced, which I think we need to be put in place, is rough register. We used to have a rough register where ruffians of the area were recorded as roughs. They were reported from police stations and find out whose child is a deviant, whose child is delinquent, or he's indulging already in petty crimes or thief teasing. They used to be part of the rep register, and the beat officer used to go back and check and pull out and work with the parents. I think we need to revive this kind of, if we don't have, or it's lost out, rough registers where ruffians, they were called ruffians, or the not emerging, they were the merging bad characters who would one day become a bad character.
All right,
Nip
Dr.
them
Kiran
earlier.
Bedi,
But
as always, thank you very much for speaking with us here on CNN News 18. I'm sorry for the paucity of time, but thank you very much.